Welcome to Uprise Astrology Podcast. I am your host, Aylin. This podcast is a space where we discuss important astrological and spiritual themes to help you on your soul's journey, your story, and our uprising. For more astrology, predictions, readings, and other spiritual topics, you can follow my work on YouTube or Instagram at Uprise Astrology Podcast. Grab your favorite drink and snacks, get yourself comfortable, and let's dive into today's topic. Welcome back, everyone. Today's episode is part of a new series that I'm starting that is all about spiritual messages that come to me through nature. So this series is called SoulSeries, and this is SoulSeries number 1. Nature has and always will be in communication with us. It is the gift of this earth. All things in nature are sacred, and they represent the universal source and the love of the divine. I have been so inspired to do this series for quite some time now, and I'm so happy to actually start it now. Now, majority of my days begin with a daily sadhana practice, such as meditation, yoga, and other practices that help me to clear my space so that I can be a channel for all the divination interpretation that I do on the daily. I also have Neptune in my 3rd house, so my daily mind is very much focused on spiritual matters and communication that comes from the other realms. So these messages will be timeless, and so if you are listening to this episode today, I hope that you will find this message inspiring to you and that it helps you along your soul's journey. So let's get into it. Every morning, right before I start my breakfast, I usually will open all of the blinds in the living room to let the sunlight in. Now, for the ones that don't know, I currently live in Florida, and if you've ever been here, there are many different insects, reptiles, and many more animals that you can come across here. Sometimes you'll come across an insect and you won't even know what you're actually looking at because it looks so different from anything you've ever seen. Well, so this morning when I opened up one of the blinds, I saw this huge insect. At first, I wasn't quite sure what it was, and the closer I got to it, the more I started to realize that I'm looking at a supersized fly. I had never seen anything like it before, and if you're listening to this episode on my YouTube channel, you will be able to view the actual footage of this fly because I was able to take a video of it. The first thing I sensed when I saw this fly is that it's not random at all that this fly showed up on my window and that it's sitting right there on my window. And I got this huge intuitive sense that I should do some introspection and see what the soul of this fly is all about. So the messages I will share are for the collective as well as your life journey at this time. And after spending much time meditating on this fly and what this fly is actually all about, there are 3 things that I got from it. The first thing I got is that right now is a time of big changes that are undeniable and need your attention. And it's not any kind of change. It is the kind of change that comes in fast. It is very unapologetic. It is the kind of change that if you resist, it will drag you for a while. Why is this message coming through? Well, when we think about the fly, it is able to react fairly quickly. Most of the time, people react very intensely around the fly, and they try to get it out of their way, doing anything they can. Sometimes they'll try to hit it, and the fly often is super quick in its reaction to avoid the predator, basically. The reason the fly is able to react quickly is because of its capability to have a 360-degree view. It can also beat its wings super fast, so it has the ability to make a quick decision in times of challenges or change. So another question that came up with this was, what is disrupting your time and space at this very moment? And what changes need to be made? If any of this speaks to you, then the way to navigate and find the spiritual remedies is to stay persistent with the changes that are asking of you to be made and that you perhaps are trying to create. This means dealing with the very things in your life right now that are annoying as heck. Also, it is going to be really important to keep a good view of what is happening in your life right now. That's another message that came through. so that you will be able to take quick and necessary action steps so that you can persevere through your current life situation. Lastly, I got the sense of the number 5 that popped up. It was a vision that came through, number 5, that plays a role as well. This can pertain to timelines like 5 days or 5 weeks. It's not limited to timelines though. It can involve 5 physical items, people, numbers on a building, or 5 specific steps that need to be taken. Also, number 5 in general is a number of independence and travel. So if this speaks to you, this is your message that these are the types of themes that might come up. The second message that came to me with the symbol of the fly is an invitation to reassess boundaries in your life. The reason this came up for me was because whenever you have an encounter with a fly, it is usually incredibly disruptive, frustrating, annoying. In general, the fly does not care about invading your space at all. So the question that came up here for me was, who or what is invading your space? It's also important to ask yourself, why is this happening at this time? Perhaps you need to consider protecting yourself more. So why does this matter? Let's dive a little bit deeper into it. What you want to keep in mind here is that the fly will not stop to ensure its survival. That is how the fly operates. In fact, it will not stop to try to find a source of food. This is sort of the energy of the fly. This piece of information matters when we look at boundary crossing. Do you need to uncover more hidden intentions and agendas? Perhaps it's yours. Perhaps it's the one of another person. If boundaries speak to you as part of the message about the fly, and if they keep showing up in your space on your path's journey, you may need to become more aware of what you and others are doing. Something or someone is taken away from you, and it's directly correlated to identifying boundaries and enforcing them. The third message I got was really interesting to me. Ever heard of the saying, "I want to be a fly on the wall"? I believe the saying's first citation can be traced back to the 1920s from a newspaper called the Oakland Tribune, published in Oakland, California. I hope I pronounced that the right way. Now, what does this mean when we say fly on the wall? We're saying we would like to witness, see, or hear about a situation we have nothing to do with without being noticed, just like a spy. That is why I called today's episode The Spy on the Wall. It is hard to notice a fly on the wall until it starts moving and invading our space. So the fly brings the message that at this time, you have the ability to find out important information you want to know more of. It is a great time to investigate, research, and seek the information that will pertain to studies and resources in the field of food, health, and well-being, animals, and any ill-intended behavior that impacts outcomes. Now, I want to explain why I'm being so specific about this subject. The fly is an insect that concerns itself with survival, and it is relentless about it. In fact, it won't just stick to its own kind to ensure its survival. It will lay its eggs anywhere it can. Sounds kind of gross, right? Think of terms of exploitation. They will go and lay their eggs wherever. Also, in ancient times, the fly was associated with curses on someone's well-being. The fly is also associated to the element of air. Air represents thought and communication, and oftentimes change. So to wrap this up, this is a time to expect to look further and examine critical information that will help expose hidden intentions, sometimes discovering things we didn't realize could impact us in a negative way, so that it can help us to get ahead of the enemy, or the challenge, or the thing that we think will be difficult to deal with, right? If you know more about it, you'll be able to help yourself more. If this part of the message speaks to you, then this is the time to find the truth that may be hiding, but is accessible to you if you follow your instincts and become brave to see things for what they are. That's a wrap on today's episode. I would love to know more about your insights on the power and the spirit of the fly. Have you ever had them in your dreams show up? Or perhaps you have other things you would like to share about it. If you're viewing this on YouTube, leave a comment below. Thank you for tuning in. To check out more of my work, you can hop on to upriseastrology.com or follow me on Instagram at upriseastrologypodcast. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, you can rise from anything. It's about your soul, your story, and our uprising.